am training myself to crane my neck, to see the sky as it is and in its histories. Small black scuds, brassy-colored clouds, buttermilk clouds, cirrocumulus, stratocumulus, cirrostratus, murky white cirrus, clear skies, ominous skies, threatening skies. I started looking at the sky because I was thinking a lot about drones. The sky seemed full of them, even if I couldn't see them there. Knowing I wouldn't see them, I kept looking up. Looking up, I took photographs and videos, trying to make myself pay attention. I tried to imagine their menacing buzz over a street in Pakistan, in the sky over there. Feathery sheets, threads, woolen fleeces, brushed, heaped. At first I found I could imagine the drones. If not the deadly ones, then at least it was easy to freak out thinking about surveillance here and how we're being constantly watched and how the drones are getting smaller and smaller and could be anywhere, anytime, and not just in the sky above the clouds, beyond the clouds, behind the clouds, but in the air and on the leaves and brushing my skin. Take a look at DARPA's hummingbird drone on YouTube, or consider the DARPA-sponsored hybrid insect microelectric mechanical systems project, where scientists have developed a moth machine cyborg. The pupa is injected with electronic components, and after metamorphosis, the insect unfurls its wings and is flown by its human operator to a distant window where it flutters with the other bugs, watching, recording, relaying the end of privacy. The plan is to have them weaponized. Nano and genetic technology fuse in the latest forms of biological warfare. One U.S. Air Force colonel writes that single micro-teeth-like devices could fit well within a blood vessel to carry and insert genetic material into cells. I've been thinking a lot about drones, not only because they are the latest symbol of the forces we live under, but also because my brother is an Air Force pilot who called not long ago to say he was being transferred to begin flying drones. Actually, I don't think he used the word drone, as he says this is a media slur freighted with fear. He uses the term RPAs, or remotely piloted aircraft. I think he prefers this to the military's other commonly used acronyms, UAVs, unmanned aerial vehicles, or UAS, unmanned aerial systems, as it keeps the pilot in the picture. Also, looking back, I'm not sure if he said he would be flying them. He may have said operating, because of course you can't slip the bonds of Earth from behind the drone pilot's video joystick. My brother would no longer feel the plane vibrate within his body. He would no longer look out and catalog the clouds, billow, banner, arch, or anvil, nimbus, veil, or wall, lenticular, noctilucent. He would no longer be moving through the air as birds do, but his plane would. The majority of new Air Force pilots today will fly their planes from inside an office. The Department of Defense base budget request for drones for 2012 was $4.8 billion, and the U.S. Air Force is currently training more drone pilots than all conventional fighter and bomber pilots combined. Not bagpipes, sitar, or hurdy-gurdy, this drone is more like a motor, a sustained, monotonous tone, a monophonic effect, a buzzing of male bees where male equals medium altitude, long endurance, M-A-L-E. Eyes twice the size of workers, fly, hover, see, fly, hover, see. Theirs is a machinic persistence, and it gives them the ease of thoughtless determination. They've got the endless buzz of eternal war. One note continuously sounded. My brother first learned to fly when he was a neurobiology student working with homing pigeons. As part of his summer lab job, he would pack the birds into big, slatted wooden crates, load them into his battered pickup truck, and drive them out into the country where he'd release them and measure things like the odor gradient of the pines, the azimuth of the sun, the magnetic fields. Then he'd drive back to the pigeon coop or loft where he'd lie out and sleep in the sun and dream whatever 19-year-olds dream until the birds returned and woke him by ringing a bell rigged to their trapdoor. One day, after watching them fly off into the mystery of their instinct, he drove to the local airport and signed up for a flying lesson. Maybe it was the Swedish flight instructor named Elsa, or maybe it was what he called the sports car feel of a small plane. Or maybe it was the sense he had that once in the air, as he said, you really could leave everything behind. Antoine de Saint-Exupéry said, "I fly because it releases my mind from the tyranny of petty things." The truth is that looking up at the sky, with or without my camera, I couldn't sustain my fear of drones, or my focus on them. In part because I could not see them, but also because my habitual thinking about the sky was so strong. It was hard to resist the humanist fantasy that the sky unites all peoples, that we all look at the same sky, that it remains something contiguous with remote others in a way that land can't be, a territory that is not divided, no geophysical or political boundaries, no walls, no checkpoints, at least not yet. The sky is still a common space, whether it is a symbol of transcendence or a dumping ground. But also the sky itself was just so beautiful, and paying attention to it was so pleasant, such a relief from everything else. In her book, War at a Distance, Romanticism and the Making of Modern Wartime, Mary Favre writes, "It is by now a critical commonplace to see in romantic images of weather, such as the cloud, a metaphor of transcendence and evanescence. A wartime reading, on the other hand, finds in the clouds and winds of romantic literature elements of a global system of communication, being, if not news, then pulses of feeling, currents from abroad."
Slasher, we can put down the sparkle going to fused. I see them right there. We are eyes on the west side of the river. We are infused, but if you want to go ahead and throw down your sparkle, okay. I see a vehicle with flashing lights on. Sparkle on, call, contact, sparkle. Can you zoom in a little bit, man? Let him take a look. That truck would make a beautiful target.
The drone likes to hide. Scratch that, the drone is meant to be hidden. It leans more instrumental than performative. Or does it? The bulging head, the high-pitched whine, even the nasty nicknames, predator, reaper, vulture, demon, slip back into the spectacle, that autonomous movement of the non-living, as Du Bois wrote. Drone potential, even if visible, is part of the theater of fear and the theater of war, as is their tenacious vision, their grainy trailers, snuff film surveillance videos, or drone porn. The blurry insurgents, black or white in heat sensor mode, running, stopping, running, the crosshairs flashing. Sparkle on. You are cleared to engage. The pixelated black cloud, then the deadly ending we came for, the figures now prone. But while the fact that drones are invisible matters, this isn't exactly new to warfare. Militaries have used camouflage and covert operations since before the Trojan horse, and war in the sky is also nothing new. That the sky is deeply and essentially the place of war is nothing new. Just as it is difficult to escape the sentimental language of weather, of sun, moon, rainbows, and stars, there's no escaping that the sky is also always the space of war and has been for a long time, just as war itself is the space we live in. Favre writes, "The vehicle for understanding the weather is war, not vice versa. War is apparently familiar enough to explain the otherwise inexplicable or unknown. Destructive, volatile, and unpredictable in outcome, war and its gunpowder somehow humanize the weather, or at least keep it tied to earth. To understand the fugitive movements of weather and war, we must situate them within the history of meteorology. Hens, scarts, and filly tails make lofty ships wear low sails. Mackerel sky and mare's tail make lofty ships carry low sails. Mackerel sky, furl your sails. Mackerel sky, never long wet, never long dry. Red sky at night, sailors delight. Red sky in morning, sailors take warning. If at morning the sky be red, it bids the traveler stay in bed. Red in the east, neither good for man or beast. Red in the morning, soldiers are mourning. A secret perspective is in fact hidden on high, a reverse vertigo that may well force us to change the way we think about the landscape and about the human environment. Moving ceaselessly on a global scale, writes Fevre, according to charted patterns, war had the potential to become an all-enveloping system, indeed the regular and recognizable fluctuations of the everyday. The first modern war thus took place, for many readers and writers, in the skyscape of this new weather.